Well, first of all, the reason the Fed is paying interest on excess reserves is to give the banks money to pay higher insurance premiums to the FDIC. Remember, Dodd-Frank raised the insurance premiums on the banks that they have to pay for their deposit insurance. That would have hurt bank earnings. So the Fed said, fine, we'll just pay you on the excess reserves, take the money and pay your premiums. So this is just another game. This is just another shadow play where it's basically a backdoor way of financing the FDIC premiums with printed money so the banks don't actually have to bear the cost. That's the reason they're doing it. But beyond that, this notion that if they stop paying the interest, that all of a sudden the banks will say, well, we got to make some money, we'll go out and lend all this money. I don't agree with that at all. In fact, it's not right. Here's the thing. To get inflation, by the way, inflation is a danger. I'm not saying it's not a danger. It's a serious danger, but the dynamic is different than these theorists suppose. Here's the real problem. To have inflation, you need two things. You need money supply, but you need velocity. Velocity is the turnover of money. So if I go out tonight and I buy a drink at the bar and I tip the bartender and the bartender takes a taxi cab home and the taxi cab driver puts some gas in his car, that money has velocity of 3. You got the bartender, the taxi cab, and the gas station. But if I stay home, watch TV, or buy gold and leave it in a vault, that money has velocity of 0. So the nominal GDP, the nominal gross value of all the goods and services in the U.S. economy is simply how much money is there, what's the velocity? It's money supply times velocity. You need both to cause inflation. You need money supply times velocity to be greater than potential GDP, and the excess shows up in the form of inflation. So the Fed has taken the money supply to the moon, but velocity is collapsing, and that's the problem. So now what would cause inflation is not more or less money printing or payment of interest on excess reserves. What would cause inflation is a change in velocity, which is behavioral. It's a change in the psychology. That's what you have to look for, what the Fed actually calls inflationary expectations. And so I like to say, if you want inflation, it's like a ham and cheese sandwich. You need the ham and the cheese. Money printing is the ham, but velocity is the cheese, and you need both to get the inflation. So the thing to watch for is a change in inflationary expectations, a change in behavior. And that can happen very quickly, and that's why inflation is so dangerous. It might not show up at all, and then suddenly it would come very quickly. But it's that because it's very, very difficult to change the behavior. But once you do, it's very difficult to change it back again. So that's why inflation runs out of control.